Hey, welcome to Inside Games, the only gaming news show brave enough to tell you that Microsoft will acquire Activision Blizzard.
Right, we're stamping it. Microsoft's $69 billion bid to acquire Activision Blizzard, which is the largest acquisition deal in video game history, has gone through a ton of twists and turns as various regulatory agencies have questioned the deal. But we're ready to call it. This is it. Microsoft will acquire Activision Blizzard.
Yeah, this blistering blast of bravery is backed up by a handful of headlines over the last few days that show this whole thing is just going to go Microsoft's way. Here are the latest updates, and they start with a big old U-turn. Charlotte is back. Swing this thing around for us, Charlotte. Give it to us.
I'm cutting it. I'm cutting it back. Yeah, I'm cutting it again. It's so nice to know that you can leave for an indeterminate amount of time and things don't change.
Never.
No, they don't. Recently, the UK's Competition and Markets Authority pulled an about-face on the Microsoft Activision Blizzard merger. The regulator is now saying that, given some new information, the deal is unlikely to harm console gaming in the UK. Now, that's a big change from just a few months ago when the CMA publicly worried that Microsoft could make Call of Duty an Xbox exclusive. Oh, my stars.
Can you imagine?
But then Microsoft went to work, signing licensing deals with companies like Nintendo and Nvidia to share Call of Duty, and to not so subtly communicate to regulators that they're fine lending out COD, even if it becomes their property. You can play with my toys. Yeah. Ironically, the current flip-flop doesn't even relate to all Microsoft's deal signing, though. Martin Coleman, chairman of the CMA's investigation, said in a statement, quote, "Having considered the additional evidence provided, we have now provisionally concluded that the merger will not result in a substantial lessening of competition in console gaming services because the cost to Microsoft of withholding Call of Duty from PlayStation would outweigh any gains from taking such action." So basically, common sense and a calculator app won the day for Microsoft.
Yeah, round of applause. A government institution.
Okay,
common sense. They don't normally go together. So congratulations. Coleman, not done though. Coleman did add that this revision doesn't affect their previous concern about the future of the cloud gaming market. So there is still an active concern on the table. Their investigation should be completed by the end of this month.
But like we said, Microsoft has been pounding the pavement to make it easy for regulators to approve this deal for months and months and months. When it comes to cloud gaming, Microsoft has already signed agreements with Nvidia and Boosteroid. What the hell is that? To grease the wheels.
I just like saying it because it's fun to say the name.
Boosteroid. I don't know what that is.
Boosteroid.
Give me two of those Boosteroid.
It's Italian.
Now, this is the fun part of the news. As you might imagine, Sony didn't really take this too well.
Oh, come on now, Sony. Sony is their malding. Definitely. In a statement, they called the revision, quote, surprising, unprecedented, and irrational. And it gets even more dramatic from there. Charlotte, tell us why.
Yeah, after cranking up some My Chemical Romance, Sony Interactive Entertainment president and CEO Jim Ryan said that PlayStation would never recover if Microsoft potentially released a degraded version of Call of Duty on PlayStation consoles. Such a move, Ryan said, would seriously damage our reputation. Our gamers would desert the platform in droves, and network effects would exacerbate the problem. Our business would never recover.
Oh my gosh. Do you think the PlayStation 5 with all of its 4K and HDR can render a violin small enough for Jim right now?
The song carries on, though. Sony also claimed that the CMA, the Country Music Awards, was using faulty intel in its findings, saying that their model underestimates how much revenue Call of Duty players generate because they are highly engaged. They also said that the CMA's model incorrectly assumed that players wouldn't switch consoles if Call of Duty were to become an Xbox exclusive.
All right. Sony also pounced on a recent IGN interview with Redfall director Harvey Smith, who said that the game was canceled for PlayStation 5 after Microsoft acquired ZeniMax.
Yeah, sweet Harvey Smith. He goes off script and he's honest sometimes, but he did kind of give Sony a good talking point, so I'm sure he got some terse emails after that. Sony called that interview, quote, further compelling evidence of Microsoft's ability and incentives to foreclose rivals to acquired games, together with its likely conduct post-transaction with respect to Call of Duty.
Well, that's a mouthful of words there. So Sony is not backing down from its argument that this merger could potentially take Call of Duty away from PlayStation, which they argue would be cataclysmic.
And I love it. They have to double down. They can't just back off and say like, yeah, you're right. We made all that shit up.
Falling.
So what's next? What happens next, Charlotte?
Well, the CMA's decision has to be rendered like a video game, by April 26th. And remember, Coleman said that their investigation is on track to wrap up by the end of the month, which would seem to confirm that that date is accurate. And while the CMA has said they're still worried about competition in the cloud gaming space, should this deal go through, Microsoft has been working on that front too, signing agreements with third-party cloud gaming services like GeForce Now, Boosteroid and Ubitus. Ubatuba.
It's a Ubisoft subsidiary or something.
And they've also explicitly said that all Activision Blizzard games would be included in those deals should regulators approve the acquisition of the publisher.
Well, meanwhile, the European Commission is also investigating the deal, but there are reports that Microsoft's licensing deals have won the EU over, and they will approve the merger.
Yeah, then the biggest remaining question mark is the U.S. Federal Trade Commission, which they're trying to block the deal in court. They sued a while ago. Latest update there is that they're seeking documentation from Microsoft on its latest licensing deals.
So while the wheels continue to turn very slowly on all of this, it definitely looks like things are kind of starting to turn Microsoft's way.
Yeah, I think they were always going to. A lot of the arguments Sony was putting out just don't track with modern data. You have to take a very customized look at the games industry, which kind of leads me to think the FTC suit isn't actually going to go to trial because it's predicated on all that stuff. The FTC just wanted to sue because other government agencies were doing it. They wanted to seem like they were putting up a fight too, which means this is my personal prediction. I think they'll just hold out the longest. Whatever the last domino to fall is, they want to be that one, so they're just going to wait until everyone else approves it. And then they're going to celebrate all the concessions they got to sign the agreement to make it go through. So I don't know. What do y'all think though? Do you have any opinion about how this is going? I like that Sony's getting sassy and they're getting a little desperate too, which is great. All they have is words and they're trying to use them.
I've been in the dojo just kind of like honing my opinions. I've been in the place from The Matrix where Morpheus teaches him Kung Fu.
Right.
Anyway, I think my opinion, as I've said many times on this show, is that it's hard to imagine anything standing up to corporations, especially in a corporation like Microsoft, or as I very smoothly glazed over is in the script, Microsoft at one point.
Yeah.
Microsoft. I'm proud of myself. Anyway, I don't know if cool is the right word, but to see them, kind of submit to pressure and put those deals out beforehand, because as cool as Microsoft has been towards accessibility in gaming and making games accessible to more people than before, it's just you can't really take a corporation's word. So my take is that I felt like this was going to go through all along, which I know, very original.
No, but it's true.
But I mean, whatever concessions can be taken out of it, I suppose, are a win.
Yeah, that's true. We are getting concessions. We're getting Call of Duty on the Nintendo Switch.
And Boosteroid.
I forgot about Booster. How can I forget about Boosteroid?
It sounds like a niche South American game streaming service that is huge,
great.
but I've never heard of it. I'm not sure.
I can't wait to buy my Boosteroid subscription. But also, speaking of, I've seen a lot of the comments. They're always saying Inside Games, they want this acquisition. They love Microsoft. All they do is suck Microsoft dick. They want this to go through. And fact of the matter is, generally speaking, we really say, we'd rather not see this go through. We just think it will. There is no reason that stands up in court that it shouldn't go through. And that's sort of the issue is that, that's probably another large corporation that's going to win again. So we just sort of got to live with it. It sucks. Or how about this? All you people who are I hate Microsoft. Don't buy any games from Microsoft. There you go. Easy enough, right? Don't buy Call of Duty. Just stay away from it. And then you win. You, the educated consumer.
That thing in The Matrix was called the construct, by the way.
The construct. Thank you.
You're welcome. You always want to be wearing your coolest glasses when you're correcting people about needless information.
That's right.
I don't think it's needless. I think that's very important, Lawrence.
Thank you.
Well, I've got some patrons here that actually, for our Patreon, you can support Inside Games on Patreon, and these patrons, have never bought Call of Duty in their entire lifetime. Never. I think. Old Baby Leg, Mason Hoover, The Creatures with Nerds Brews Gaming, and Christopher Glavin.
Well, my patrons have done the opposite, Bruce. Ever since this news broke, they've been stockpiling Call of Duty on PlayStation. They got whole warehouses full of it. So when they shut it off, they're going to be sitting pretty. I tell you, that's a good investment. It's almost as good as investing in Inside Games. Rook, or Captain Coldblood, Sean McLaughlin, Charles Guard, and Nightboard, thank you very much. And hey, speaking of Patreon, we got another bonus for all of our active patrons. We've been doing exclusive saucy gamer memes for our patrons every week. Available at every tier. All you have to do is just be a patron to see them. Here's this week's work of art. It's a dissection of dinosaurs and family, and what it means to take several cinematic franchises. So, kind of inspired by the story about Ark Remastered, which is another whole pile of shit. But anyway, if you want to see the whole thing, because we're teasing it out, you got to be a patron. Any tier will do. But take a look at our other fine patron rewards.
Lawrence, might you say they might become part of our family?
Oh, maybe. You want to be part of our family? We'll do anything for family. How does he talk like that?
Family.